just going to start. Hi, we're here with Laura Munoz Diaz from Ehlers Winery, recording for Slow Wine 2021. Okay, so we've got the 2019 Sauvignon Blanc with the changes. We've got the 2017 Merlot. Now that, what is the price for that wine?
For the Merlot is $55.
Okay, all right.
It has 85% Merlot and 15% Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay, great. And then the Leduc, the price for that one?
It's 90.
Okay, 90, you did mention that. Okay, great. All right, super. Oh, that clone sounds very interesting. Okay, well, fantastic. Well, new wines to write about. That's great. That's great. Let's see. But other than that, everything was good. Did you have any, you didn't have any changes to your audit in terms of fertilizers, plant protection, weed control, yeast?
No, we are certified organic since 2008. I mean, being organic since 2005. We keep the same regime and farming practices.
Okay.
No changes.
Great, great, super. That is so good to hear and so good to know.
The only change that we started working with a Vineyard Management company, and you probably might hear about him. I work with Mike Wolf.
Yep.
In Napa, and Caleb Mosley. They are amazing team. I started working with them last year, and now they are full-time helping me and supporting the farming at Ehlers.
That is the perfect segue into some of the questions that I have for you that are in addition to just the basic guide entry. So this year Slow Wine has asked us to delve a little bit deeper into some of the, intention and the work that you're doing. So there's just a couple questions here. You can choose to address them or not. It's entirely up to you. Slow Wine does have a question this year about how you've been dealing as a winery, as an organization, with this particular period in our reality. If you've had any significant changes that you would like to discuss, it's not mandatory, but if there's anything you want to share.
I'm happy to talk about it. So one of the good things about being supported by the Leduc Foundation is that, the Leduc Foundation, as you probably know, is a trust or foundation that it was created to fund cardiovascular and neurovascular research. So they have a solid reputation and they care really deeply about us. So, as of right now, I'm keeping all my employees. We are doing a lot of other different things that we never have time for it, like, working in SOPs and kind of like being sure that the future and what we're going to be doing is what we want to be doing. A lot of virtual
planning, some advanced planning.
Planning, creating like we do brainstorming meetings about how to be creative, how to reach out and connect with our wine club members, that we have a really good loyalty wine club membership. So we just try to reach out to individually to all our friends and Ehlers friends. So we've been very busy and stay busy. Our sales obviously are not as they used to be, but they're not that bad. Honestly, we're not struggling as of right now. We are still planning harvest, farming continues. I'm working on my blending. So far we've been very supportive, and we are trying to stay healthy and create protocols to, keep our social distancing, but stay connected every day. So far it hasn't been that bad. It's true that we still, we miss having visitors and our guests and the traveling portion of, connecting with our guests, but that's fine.
Well, they'll be back. They will. They will never stay away from Ehlers. I've had people tell me, some of my readers or some of the people that I interact with professionally, that the first place they go after they arrive is Ehlers. It's like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've had many testimonials. Oh, it was the American Wine Society conference where I had a seminar, and people came up to me, and because I had mentioned Ehlers during the talk, and they came up to me and said, "Oh, it's the first place we go.
It's
So,
the hospitality that we normally do here. I think people really love to come just here. The wines and the site is beautiful. So we'll go back to that.
okay. So let's see, we got question 2, we got that covered. So you mentioned you started working with the Vineyard Management Company, which is great. But you're continuing your practices. I mean, you haven't instituted any big changes. Have the Vineyard Management Company done anything different that you feel might have an indirect effect on wine quality?
Yes, we changed a little bit, and that was when I started working here in 2018. I inherited these vineyards that are almost 25 years old. My plan is to keep them around for other 25 years.
Okay, all right. Keep them healthy then.
We changed the farming in regards of, trying to keep the vines healthy, keep them maybe a lower production, so our yields are going down. We've been very, very more aggressive with softening, with saccharin, like with dropping fruit, or fruit thinning. So we are trying to keep those vines healthy and trying to, we install second drip irrigations because we want to be sure that the areas where the soils drain better or that they need a little bit of more water, especially now with the heat that is the last year that it has been so warm, especially here in Santa Helena. So we need to be very careful of when to irrigate, trying to use as many tools as we can. And I think that's one of the amazing things with my Wolf and Caleb is that they have a lot of experience with Napa vineyards, and they can like help me and support with new ideas or doing some research. They know what is out there that can help us to, kind of like micro farming. That's what we are doing
precision farming. Yeah,
precision farming.
A lot of talk about precision farming. So
when vines are starting getting older, I think that is more important than ever. So that's what I'm changing. So I'm changing a little bit of the practices, cultivation. We're starting using biochar, just to try new ways instead of just compost, mixing the compost with biochar in some blocks and see if that helps. Trying to change the canopy management as well, so we mitigate the sun exposition, which sometimes can damage the skin. So things like that, putting more attention to detail.
So some of the changes are in response to the climatic changes that we're seeing, that we can attribute to climate shift, right?
As well, yes.
Yeah, all right. Just, it's nice to get that in there. Okay, so let's see, what else? Unfortunately, we haven't spent a great deal of time together. I'd love to spend more time with you, but can you just share with us for a minute a little bit about your winemaking style? And I know that's kind of a broad question, but maybe a little bit about your intention for the work that you're doing now, and if that's changed any. I know you're new to Ehlers, so it's all new.
I mean, my approach is more about working in the vineyards to be sure that every year I try to, get the best quality possible, dealing with the different changes per vintage. So I try to make wines that are true to their site. And this site is very specific in Ehlers, and just because of the alluvial soils, we might not get wines that are overly tannic like other areas in Napa. They're more delicate, they're more floral. To express that and be pure to that, but also every year, every vintage is different. So try to keep the style is also very important. So that's what I try to translate in the winemaking. I'm not trying to be very manipulative. I've done, to be honest, I sometimes I inoculate with yeast. Other tanks I keep them isolated, and I don't inoculate. I'll do it just based on what I think that every vintage is bringing me, to be sure that I'm developing the same style year after year, and there's only like changes vintage per vintage.
Right. Which the Ehlers, the longtime Ehlers fan, the longtime club member, that's what they cherish about the wines. The wines stay within a stylistic framework, but they do express a cooler vintage or a warmer vintage. And they love they love that. They love that kind of expression of the
Yeah,
site.
they actually appreciate, they always, we always have these fans that they, you know, they go to other wineries in Napa and they like the wines, but they understand that we have a different personality, and that's very appreciated by our followers. So I need to be respectful to that, especially me being new and coming from other wineries where I was making kind of like the opposite, like big wines.
Yeah.
And that was the goal. So I have to be respectful also with my personal preference and the preference of Ehlers members.
Yeah, great.
But
Great.
I mean, not using a lot of new oak, between 50 and 70% new French oak. I'm trying to, in the winemaking, one of the things that I did joining Ehlers is getting rid of big tanks. I'm using smaller tanks for fermenters, 3 tonners, 5 tonners, no more than that. I actually use 1 tonners as well. Because because I actually harvest blocks per sections depending on how they ripe, because there's a lot of diversity in the soils and they ripe differently, so per flavor. So it makes more complicated being having only a 40 acres property, but I'm actually having like 50 or 60 different fermenters, which make it very fun in the cellar.
Yeah, well, your blending gets really creative at that point, right? You're really,
I try to spice it up a little bit.
yeah, that's exciting. Do you have a person, well, everyone, we're not going to talk about personal favorites. Is there any one variety, I mean, beyond Cabernet, which the winery is known for, that you think does exceptionally well there in St. Helena?
I mean, in our side, I really like the Cabernet Franc. I think is very beautiful because it rises properly. It receives, if it's farmed properly, it receives enough sun and ripes without a lot of herbal notes that Cabernet Franc sometimes can get. So I really like the Cabernet Franc, and I really enjoy making it now.
Like making it. I haven't I think I've only tasted it once or twice. So now I'm going to be on the Cabernet Franc. I really like it. I know there's a lot of Cabernet Franc like in Coombsville, but it gets very ripe and very chocolatey there. And I don't know. It's interesting how
ours is more violets, more like rosemary, thyme, but it's still ripe with some dark fruit. So I enjoy it.
Yummy. Okay. Me too. A lot of wine people like Cabernet Franc. Yeah. Laura's shaking her head. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, some of the charm of the Ehlers kind of legacy is the fact that the wines the Cabernets are imminently drinkable, but they also age very well. So that is a really fine line, to walk. And I think I probably would say that it's the site itself. And
I was very surprised with the fruit when I normally pick like around 26 bricks. It was very interesting that the acidity, the holding, the pH of the juice, it actually holds very well the acidity, and I think it has to do with the alluvial origin of the soils, and they are deep in some areas. They are very deep, but we have a lot of rocks as well. So I just think it holds that acidity, and acidity is very important for aging potential and the wines. So I was surprised myself that, they're very delicate, but at the same time they age very well.
Yeah, it's what drew me to the wines initially, is that they were even quite young. They were more on the delicate side, but then after 5, 6, 7 years in the cellar, they just got so much secondary and tertiary complexity that I was like, wow, am I drinking Napa Cab? What is this? Yeah. So
it's more Bordeaux style, yes.
Really, very more Bordeaux style. Yeah, that's true. I guess we could say that, but still, the wines are still very healthy in alcohol. They're 14.5. They're robust that way. They're not 13-7 or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very right. So St. Helena, you know, the AVA itself gets a lot of attention because of the mesoclimate there. I noticed that someone had, in this guide entry, I think had inaccurately called it a microclimate, but it's a mesoclimate. So, you know, do you think that is that one of the key factors related to, in addition to the soils, do you think the fact that the way the AVA is situated in the valley floor, that's?
I mean, to me, I was very surprised. It's very challenging during the ripening season, because it gets really warm the days. The nights are extremely cold in the other way. It's very radical, the switch in temperatures. I mean, to me, I haven't experienced anything like that before, and I work with fruit from the mountains. Actually, the nights were warmer there.
Yes.
It's very interesting to deal with that. And the problem with some heat spikes during the day is that the plants get sun down. It's very interesting to understand, to farm properly, to actually get the best of, and I think that's the challenge that we have in Santa Elena. I'm not sure if just other areas in Santa Elena, but I'm pretty sure that that's a challenge for everybody here.
Right, right. Is managing those heat spikes, so making sure that either the canopy or the water deficit irrigation is all lined up to support those intense periods of stress.
Yeah, so I think vintages that we don't get above 100 many times, or you know, those vintages that are more cooler, are way better for Santa Elena because we can get that balance and that control easily. Mm-hmm.
But you don't acidify. You don't acidify the wines at all, right?
No, it's very rare. Maybe here and there, one block or the other. One of the things that I've been doing actually with Cabernet Franc and Merlot is some trials with shade cloth with different colors, just because that actually cools down a little bit the canopy and the clusters, so actually can extend the maturation or the ripeness. I've been playing with that, and it actually has worked very well for us. Yeah, so.
Well, that's really interesting. That's very interesting. That's see, we ask questions, we get interesting answers.
I mean, nowadays we have a lot of tools to control and manage, even just cross arm opening the canopy, that helps tremendously.
Right. But doesn't that mean reconfiguring? That means reconfiguring your trellising, your vineyard architecture, getting in there and adding those cross arms, and you know, I mean, that's
a little bit, and you know, considering about replanting and changing the orientation of the rows is crucial as well, because what it was working 10 or 20 years before here, it doesn't work anymore here.
So adjusting row orientation is really important. Do you do a little bit of replanting every year, right?
No, we haven't done it in a long time. With Mike, we are rethinking about doing some replanting and maybe planting a little bit more of Cabernet Franc. So you know, because we have that demand for that wine, but also because of the orientation and just to facilitate, you know, like better management of the canopy, and also maybe changing clones. That's also another possibility, because there are some clones that are more suitable for warmer spots.
Warmer, right, and that's becoming much more apparent. But you know, you have dozens of different clones on the estate, right? Yeah, a lot. So you've got a lot of variety of clonal material. So adding more would
will make it more fun for me. Yeah.
Exactly. The more the merrier, right? Okay. Bye. All right. Well, we really appreciate your time this morning, Laura, and I hope to get to Ehlers this year in 2020 to get up there and see you. But thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll see each other at some point. No worries. But thank you for including us and thinking on us for the guide.
Absolutely, top of mind. Okay, thanks for joining us, Lori.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure to meet you, Laura, and I look forward to hoping to visit you very soon.
Oh yeah, you definitely want to do that. All right. Well, take care, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao. Hey, Lori, thanks for joining.
Thanks for inviting me. That was great.
You're welcome. I didn't give you a chance to get a word in edgewise. Sorry.
That's okay. It was perfect. I just